My name is Darren Thomas, and I'm the Director of Educational Research Techniques. In this video, I'm going to provide some support on how to teach, or teaching and learning online, if you will. So in this particular video, we're going to look at how to support teachers so that they can teach online, and also we're going to provide some support for how students can learn online. So let's take a look at teachers first. Now, for teachers, whether you're doing blended learning or whether you're doing traditional e-learning, there are 4 concepts you have to keep in mind in order to have success when you are trying to teach online. And these are the need to plan in advance, have a presence, know your technology, and to be consistent in terms of how you organize and set up your actual online learning experience. Now, probably one of the most critical things in my experience working with people is that you have to plan your online platform, your e-learning experience in advance. Often, particularly with teachers who are very experienced, they're very good at kind of improvising and planning on the spot. They have a general idea of what they want to do, and they're not too concerned about the details because their experience can make up for a lack of planning. As you know, if you've ever gone through a teacher education training, they're very stringent about you making clear, detailed lesson plans in the early stages of your teaching. However, like I just mentioned, we tend to get away from that as we become experienced, to the point where many successful, experienced teachers no longer make lesson plans at all. However, lack of planning in an e-learning context can lead to complete disaster. You cannot just throw stuff up on the website at the last minute and have things to be cohesive and coordinated. That is very difficult. When you are trying to teach online, you have to plan out everything that's happening in the online aspect in advance before the semester. Again, I don't want to curtail the improvisational style of successful teachers in the classroom, but with e-learning, improvising doesn't quite work. It takes thorough planning to make sure that the website and all the links and all the activities flow appropriately, because these things are being done when you are not around often. Whereas when you are kind of making things up in the classroom, you can rely on your body language, your communication skills, you're getting feedback from the students in terms of questions and confusion that's coming from them. All that is missing when children are alone trying to wrestle with your website and to conduct online activities. So it is very critical that you keep in mind the need to plan and make sure everything is thoroughly laid out on the e-learning side of your teaching experience. A second concern that you have to keep in mind is having presence. This means showing up in the forums, showing up in the activities, providing feedback online so that students know that you are there. This is very, very critical, especially if you're going 100% online and there's no face-to-face contact. Students need to know that you are there, that you are behind them. If you take a look at this picture here, you can see one person is in the front, one person is behind. There's a sense of presence there. They know that there's someone behind them, helping them out, watching them and guiding them. And often you as a teacher are the person from behind. You're letting the students have the learning experience through leading out themselves, but you are right there with them. And this must be clear, particularly if you go 100% online and you don't have that blended learning experience. Now, this is another critical point, is that you have to know your technology. This is more of a challenge perhaps maybe for the older teachers who maybe, they haven't been keeping up with technology in recent years, but in order to implement whatever goals and dreams you have for the students in their learning, you have to know what bells and whistles, what tools can be used to make those dreams come true. This requires constant feedback, constant development of your knowledge as you grow and using these online learning tools. The options are virtually limitless, but you have to make the time to sit down and play with it. You don't have to master it, but you have to be familiar with it enough, whatever technology it is, that you can communicate with an expert to help you make it come true. Oftentimes, teachers don't know what they want online, and they have no clue of the different tools that are available, and if they know them, they're not able to communicate with the person who can make it come true. Very important that you know your technology. Next, you have to be consistent. This has to relate more with the design of the website or whatever learning management system. You want to make sure that the design experience is consistent between pages and links and activities, so that students can focus on learning and not on trying to figure out what it is they're supposed to do. Where do I click here? Where do I click there? How do I submit this? These are all challenges that students should not have to focus on. You want them to focus on the learning. So the consistency is like the rising and the setting of the sun. You expect certain things to be in certain places every single time when the student is trying to deal with the website. Now for students, there are three things that they need to keep in mind, and they're kind of overlapping here. Students need to keep in mind the need for a schedule, the importance of participation, and of course communicating with the teacher and also other students. So in terms of making a schedule, there's a great temptation with e-learning to not do any learning until the last minute. The benefit of traditional teaching is that, well, at least when you go to class, things are kind of spoon-fed to you over time, and so you get something even if you're not putting a lot of effort into it. However, with e-learning, it's you and you alone, and you have to set aside time, blocks of time, just like when you have to go to work or when you have to go to class. You have to set aside that time where you sit down and actually study. Students frequently fall into the trap of not doing anything throughout the course of the semester and trying to rush everything at the last minute. Again, this is a bad habit for a traditional class, but I have to admit I've seen students survive that way. But there's almost no hope to survive when you try to cram a whole semester's worth of work into 2 weeks before the semester is over. Seen it before, it happens all the time, no hope for success. Students also need to participate. It's very easy to disappear in an online class. You don't have to respond to peers' posts. You don't have to encourage too much. You can just put superficial comments to get by and let the teacher know you're there. But see, all these shortcuts, they end up cheating you from the learning experience. The purpose of participation is to reinforce whatever is happening in terms of discussion or whatever activities are taking place. And by bypassing that, it's harder for the information to gel into your mind. You have to reinforce it through using it and through interacting with others. And it's very important that students understand this and that the teachers encourage this. And lastly, you need to, as a student, communicate. Again, because of that lack of presence, if you're going 100% online, it's very easy to never talk to the teacher, to never talk to anybody. However, people need to know how you are doing. And you have to occasionally check in with the teacher, ask some questions, and just try to get a feel for what is happening throughout the course. Communication is critical, particularly if something is unclear that the teacher wants you to do. It is very easy to have this confidence that as a teacher, what I want my student to do is clear. And like I said, in a traditional classroom, when things are not working out, I can tell. You get the sense, you can see the frustration, you can see the body language. It's very easy to make a course correction. However, when you start putting stuff online, it's a little bit harder to rearrange things because of the barriers of your knowledge of technology, etc. It's much harder. This is why it is critical that students raise a voice when things are not working well or when there are other problems. Now, in this video, we took a look at how some tips on teaching and learning online. And we provided some suggestions for teachers about knowing your technology, being consistent, etc. And also for students making a schedule, participating, and communicating. This is not all that there is to teaching and learning online, but this will provide a basic foundation for teachers and also for students as they begin their online learning experience. So, my name is Darren Thomas. I am the Director of Educational Research Techniques. I want to thank you for watching. Take care.